up, everybody, and welcome back to the Reality Kingdom, where we put the real in reality or whatever.
Period.
I'm Pharaoh. We're joined by our wonderful co-host Lee. Lee,
You're our
how are
host
you
too.
doing? Lee, nigga,
Oh,
nigga, how
oh,
are you doing?
why you gotta start off ghetto every time?
Is it giving ghetto or is it giving I'm minding my business?
It's giving urban.
Because you got
It's
a lot of shit
giving.
to say. You got a lot of stuff to say.
Look, y'all, we've been watching baddies, so we're very
You gotta
argumentative.
go.
And
Biggie.
Biggie. Yeah, girl. You ain't been talking to me crazy.
Look, y'all. To bring y'all back to what we're doing. If you don't see the title, you see it now, nigga. We are doing. What?
I just like opening with it. It's crazy.
Some
Some people don't like to be called the N-word, Pharaoh.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. So, if you don't see the title, it is Big Brother Canada 11, 1 year later.
1 year later. 1 year later.
Later,
Wow, later.
So
Okay.
it's been a year. It's been some time. We are going to. Well, we're not going to go back to that. But what we're going to do is we're going to remember the time that Big Brother Canada 11 was, and just discuss what happened, how we felt about it at the time, how we feel
Really
about it
just
now.
gag about some of
Gag
the
about
bigger
it.
moments throughout the season, some memorable moments. Kind of just walk us through what had happened, child.
And what had happened was
A lot.
a lot, girl. Starting off with some bullshit. So, Lee, the first thing I want to ask you about is before the season even started, Arissa got on some interviews. We got a notification. We got a good, cute little screenshot that said, this season will not have live feeds. We don't give a fuck. You're going to get digital dailies, whatever that may mean, because we didn't even know what it meant at the time.
Didn't at all.
And
I
this
still
is
don't
the
know what it
move.
means.
This is the move, and we move.
And we move.
And that was our motto, the entire Big Brother Canada.
Arissa was so funny for that. Arissa basically said, look, bitches, this is what we're doing now. Stay mad.
Or else.
Or don't watch.
Period. And a lot of people did not watch. And I hope they regret their decision. I'm so sorry to the Big Brother Canada global community, whatever channel they are on. But y'all need to retract that statement and y'all need to go back to the live feed. Or that's going to be y'all ass.
On Sonora. Okay? No, I definitely feel like going into Big Brother Canada 12, they should look into bringing back these live feeds. I feel like if we're going based off statistically, like ratings wise, I feel like, and then we kind of see this trend among a lot of shows. Like the ratings go down with the cable show, and with Canada, they don't have the biggest audience watching it. They don't have they don't get to benefit from the Americans watching it who do tune in. Like if Americans had access to it, I feel like there would be a lot more eyes on it, but they just don't have that luxury. So I just think statistically it makes sense that they should bring back those feeds or an all-star season. I think they need something to kind of get the hype back because I feel like at least on social media, and you know, the social media people, it'd be a loud minority. Even if only a few people feel this way, they're very loud in your face about it. A lot of people are saying that, like last year, they were not going to tune in, and a lot of people did not. Like, and then
the views were not there. Show, we have that evidence. The views
even after the show, a lot of people were just kind of like not as interested or not as invested, really. Like with Big Brother, it's one of the unique shows because we get to watch these people 24/7. People develop, you know, sometimes scary, just strong parasocial connections with people that they watch throughout the game. And I feel like it's very evident with this last season. A lot of people didn't have that connection with the cast. Like I don't see many people talking about last season cast as much in general. And like even us like kind of making this video, it's harder to recall some of these moments because we don't have the live feed footage for a lot of it. Like it was edited through the show and things like that. I feel like overall it was still like, especially like now that we have a year to like really look back at it. When I think of Big Brother Canada 11, I would still say that's a great season, one of the best BB Can 11 seasons, just by how the dynamics shifted and stuff like that. But I'm just not as, you know, I feel like just connected to it because of that, because of the live feeds being in it.
Me too. I agree. I feel like it's just that's what it is. The connection isn't there. And Big Brother is made to kind of be successful on social media because of the continuous engagement. There can be something every single day that people can talk about on Twitter or the Facebook chats that they have or the Reddit chats that are made for Big Brother. And because there wasn't live feeds, that was just not possible. We literally couldn't talk about it every day because
Like
we didn't
really,
know what was
literally,
going
what would
on
happen is the digital daily would drop. Someone would do a recap of it all, and then no one would talk about it for the rest of the day. Like with live
until the
feeds,
next one.
it's an ongoing conversation. So I just hope
Mm-hmm.
they look into that. But at the same time, I understand they have to do certain things to keep this production afloat. They're not the US, they don't have the US audience, so they have to do certain things. And if it's appeasing sponsors, then they have to appease some sponsors. So I won't be shocked
That is
if
real.
they come back and say still no more live feeds. I just think that it really could potentially
It
be
will be the
an
fall of
end of
their
an
show.
era. It
Yeah.
really will. Because I don't because how people didn't watch Weekend 11 and they didn't care. Like it wasn't like I'm missing out on something. So I feel like if they come back, it's not an all-star season and there still is no live feeds, I can see a lot of people just being like, okay, we're done.
Yeah. And that's how I felt. I don't feel connected to the last cast. I don't feel like I care. And honestly, combined with what happened last season and the promo for this next upcoming season, Big Brother Canada 12 is nowhere really in my mind. Like I know it's coming up because I know the date, but there's just no I don't have a urgency or necessarily like a care to really watch it because it's like I don't even know what to expect. It's probably not going to have live feed. It's just so much that I'm thinking about. So I really just wish they bring back the live feeds. I think if they have an All Star season, that's going to help them for this next season specifically. But you can't have an All Star season every season. So after this next season, if it is All Stars and you're still doing digital dailies, people are going to just care less and less and less. Like Big Brother Canada already had a situation where people, the show was about to get canceled. So I feel like they really need to figure this out quick or that really could happen. I feel like, and I said it last season, y'all should have just charged for the live feeds if y'all were broke. Like, if y'all needed the sponsors or y'all needed the money, y'all should have just charged for the live feeds. We pay for live feeds in Big Brother US, and that's a good money maker. That's why they probably ain't never gonna cancel them because we're literally paying
Like
for it.
best believe,
And that's
baby, I will
okay. Just
get
make sure
my
you pay for it.
VPN and put my credit card in because I know that
Literally.
the international shit do not care, baby. I've used an American debit card before to pay for some international subscriptions, which I
Mm-hmm.
will pay for Canadian live
Mm-hmm.
feeds. This Visa,
Mm-hmm.
it works in
And
CA.
let me and let
CAD.
me tell you something. I know y'all want because that's the thing. They're wanting to get traction on those digital daily videos because there's 15 ads per 45-minute digital daily.
And that
And
even makes it worse.
let me tell you something, Canada, Big Brother Canada. I ain't watching that shit. I ain't watching none of them ads. I ain't buying none of that shit. If y'all put 15 ads and y'all only making digital dailies, y'all are wasting y'all time and y'all resources because I'm not watching. Okay,
Who gonna watch it? We gotta recap it.
girl, I'll figure it out. You got it. Cause I'm telling y'all right now, I'm gonna find a way. So I advise you.
Oh,
Let me
is this a
stop.
threat? You threatening them?
This is a threat. I advise you to not have them digital dailies. I really do. Go ahead
Yeah.
and do them live feeds again. Quit fucking playing with me and have me pay for it. I
Especially because
will
like
pay
the
you.
hype last season
Are you
was a
crazy?
lot of people going into last season who were gonna tune in with live feeds and said they
Are you
weren't when
crazy?
live feeds got taken away. It was like a lot of that hype it went away because of like the live feeds. But like now that we know like it's already digital dailies, like they open up saying we're doing digital dailies, like a lot of people are just not gonna move at all.
Yeah.
Like what will get people talking is if you come out and say, okay, live feeds are back.
The live feeds are back.
The
Now people are gonna talk and
BBK will
say
probably
digital dailies are back.
trend. Like it's probably gonna go up. And I know like at the end of the day, our ratings never counted, but in general, like you said earlier, it's about the social media engagement of it all,
Mm-hmm.
to kind of just keep the show in people's mind, and the engagement is not going to be that high with the digital days. Like we saw it, like last season, like even just Twitter, it was not the same. Like the
It was
way
dead.
information got spread, and it's because we're all not on the same page. If a digital daily drops, there are people in the
I
beginning,
didn't
there are
watch it
people
till
at the
afterwards.
end. It's a lot, and so people are at different periods of time. It's just like the flow of
Mm-hmm.
information just isn't as easy as when it's just 24/7 access.
Mm-hmm. So one thing we thought last season also was the potential that last season was going to be All Stars. A lot of people thought that. We kind of thought that, especially when I found out it wasn't going to be live feeds. I was like, oh, the only way this will work is if it's All Stars. But it wasn't. But Big Brother Canada 12 is coming up. 12 is a good number. Do you feel like they'll do it this time?
I just feel like they're
Do you feel like
do. I don't know why they're not doing. I don't know why they didn't do it last season. I'm kind of happy because we can get some of those people like Koozie. Oh, Koozie! If we get Mother Koozie in that house again for All Star season, I would gag. But yeah, I think they're due for it. Like, not fuck the ratings. Take all of that out of it. Live feeds. They need an All Star season. Point blank in the period. Like, almost every reality show has had an All Star season by their 12th season.
Yeah,
like y'all are late.
Seasons. That's 12 years,
and like I don't count BB5 where it played its part. It gave us strategic mother icon, and I will always be grateful for that. But that's not enough. I need an All Star. I need a full returnee cast ready to go in there and slit each other's throats. Like, that's what we need.
I agree. It is overdue. I literally,
and it's getting to the point where their legends are starting to question it. Because why I can talk about something she don't want to come back. Y'all waited too damn long. Because why the fuck All Stars?
She was on the second season. That was 10 years ago. She's 10 years older.
Because that's the issue. Like, All Stars are not All Stars without Ika. So y'all already kind of losing cool points. Y'all need to hurry up, but y'all lose some more.
I really want it. I really feel like it's overdue, and I feel like it will revive. Like, honestly, it'll live feeds and All Stars.
Girl,
that's reviving the entire season.
The
y'all might get renewed for 5 more seasons, and I just feel like strategically on y'all's part, y'all should get them All Stars in that house and get them live feeds.
Especially too if because this is all speculation and hearsay and all of that. Allegedly. Because like, if the issue is okay, we have to appease the sponsors. We don't know if these people are going to be problematic. Some of them may be R-worded. It's a lot going on. So with All Stars, like, I feel like they'll behave a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like, this is a cast of people who's been in the show before. They know what the rules. Like, they know not to overstep their boundaries. Like, I think this would be the perfect time to bring out live feeds and All Stars. But
I agree.
Are they going to do it?
I mean, I'm not expecting much because of what we got last season. I'm just going to expect the same thing, or maybe even worse. But I'm hoping for the best, which is live feeds back and an All Stars. That would be nasty and great. And if that happens, we're going to be here regardless. We'll be here to update y'all every fucking week. But if that happens, we'll be seated.
Girl,
I'm letting you know. We'll be seated. We'll fly to the chair.
Tuned in. Oh, I'll be so tuned in. Because that's the thing. Like, I feel like that would be my first experience of like a Big Brother All Star season live. Like, I watched BB22, but let's be real, that wasn't an All Star season. I don't know what.
I didn't watch it.
But no, like I experienced that. Oh my god! Like, how are people coming back? Like, I did experience that moment, but like that went away very quickly because we all know how BB22 went. Like, I just feel like BB Can would really serve for an All Star season.
Yep. It would.
And I need that real bad. Like, it would give BB7 All Stars a run for its money. I feel like
it would.
Depending on the cast.
Because Canadians have always.
They can put a bunch of first boots in there, and it's still going there.
Yeah. Honestly, Canada seasons, just normal seasons.
Don't let Julie Hoop win the first HOH.
Like, y'all are eating it up for no reason. Canadians really get in that house and just eat it up.
They really play balls to the wall. And that's what's so fun about Canada. And that's just also so fun about the personalities they cast in the season, and that just was sucks that we weren't able to just see those personalities outright. Like, I feel like one of the main people from this season would be a Daniel, who his game was mainly social. We didn't see him in the edit that much at all because he wasn't the one doing like the big moves. He was behind the scenes a lot. We don't get any of.
But he made Final 3.
His game isn't respected. People really don't like him at all, and I feel like a lot of that is because we didn't get to see him fully on the live feeds.
So let's talk about just the season in general. Like, it's been a year. You had your thoughts back then. How do you feel about Big Brother Canada 11 overall now that it's been a year? How do you feel now?
Yeah, I feel like I said earlier, it's still a pretty good season. I think it's one of the better BB Can seasons. I personally going through it in my mind, I think I like it more than 10 and 9. Like I think I would
Okay,
do like
yeah.
new era, like new age seasons, VAPOC seasons. I think it goes 11, 9, 10.
I see that.
Um,
I agree
and
with that.
9 and 10 could be interchangeable, but there were a few weeks in 9 that I just was not as interested. I feel like in 11, and maybe it's because we were deprived from the live feeds in a way. I was always interested because it was always I had to learn this new information. I had to see, and this
Mm-hmm.
season, like they continue to kind of like shift allegiances like a lot. Like a
Yeah.
lot of this season was very, very interesting and complex. It was really good. So
I
I do think
agree.
it is a good season, and it doesn't get the. It's never going to get the rep it deserves because the live feeds issue. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
people are not going to discuss this season as something just like major for the franchise years to come. I don't think, which is unfortunate because this was a
Yeah,
really great season.
I really agree that it was just dynamic. It was really dynamic. I think there were a lot of interesting characters. All the shifting was very interesting. I just think almost everything that happened this season was just wow, like down to Ty steamroll, and it was just a lot going on, and I really liked it. Even the twists were so interesting. The safety chain and the invisible HOAs, they put both of them in this season. It's like all of those things I feel like really catered to the season being very good. I just feel like I do have kind of a distance to it. I feel like it's a distant memory in my mind, and I feel like I have less of a connection to what happened in the season because I didn't get to see it in the way that most Big Brother seasons you could see it. So I feel like my connection to that season wasn't there. And me, I watched BB Can 9 live, like as it was happening. And I watched BB Can 10 as it was happening. I feel like with 9 specifically, I feel so much more of a connection to those people and those players because I was watching it and keeping up with the live feeds. And I feel like with this one, I love BB Can 11, and I feel like it was better just game wise. What occurred was more interesting. I just don't have that connection, but I still would say that BB Can 11 is my favorite, and then 9, and then 10. It's just unfortunate now I'm thinking about it because it was my favorite, and I got the least info
Mm.
about it. But yeah, it was really good. I really do like it still.
Like I would definitely say anyone probably should go back and rewatch it because even like the edited episodes were way better. Like BB Can, sometimes on these edited episodes, I mean every Big Brother
Yeah.
version, honestly, the edited episodes, you're not going to get the real tea of the season during then, and that was another big fear because it's like we're getting edited digital dailies and edited shows. It's like when are we
Yeah.
ever going to get the real information? But I'd
Mm-hmm.
say those episodes were really good. And like
Yeah.
there's always the argument, well, is it only good because we don't have the fees to clock that it
Which
was
it
not
might be.
accurate?
Yeah.
You never really know. I feel like from the interviews we've had, we've talked to some of the past house guests, like, I don't think nothing that we didn't miss anything too big, basically. I don't think we
Mm-hmm.
missed anything that was too crazy that we didn't see in the digital dailies of the episodes.
Yeah. I will say I wish we had more details about certain moments, like even some of the details of just what Daniel was doing, especially because we saw later on him and Kuzi kind of had an argument kind of about what they were doing in the game. And it's like y'all having an argument about what y'all did in the game, and we don't really know what y'all did in the game, so we don't even know whose side. We don't know who's right. We're going based off the edit and the digital dailies, but we could have been wrong because I'm thinking in my head, Kuzi ran this whole shit. Daniel, keep it cute. But really, I don't really know. Daniel could have been in there eating it up. We'll never know. They didn't show us shit he was doing, even on the digital dailies. And that's why it's like, y'all need to at least, if y'all are going to do digital dailies, at least show give us a little bit of everyone. We didn't get Daniel for most of those.
Yeah.
And
Literally,
that's
it
really
was
just
so
not
funny.
fair.
It was like a new digital daily would drop, and he'd be like, oh, yeah, we love Daniel. Yeah, Daniel. Yeah, no, it's the girly pops and Daniel.
Yeah. And it's
Like,
wait, what?
Like there was a period of time that Daniel was literally in every single alliance in the game from like I don't know, like week 3 or 4,
And we ain't seen him on
and
the screen at all.
at
We just
all
knew he was in the line.
from conversations.
What?
And it's like okay,
Like what between the other people in the line? Why he not talking? What? So I just feel like that was the unfortunate part. But and also there's like those arguments with the what happened with Hope and how that started with his little letter. And I wish we would have got more details on that too. But
yes,
we did because it's like we don't know what happened either. And I had an interview with Zach, and we had an interview with Ty, and we talked about it from their perspective. But it's like there's 8 sides of the story. We getting the side of the people who are
right. I want to
emotionally
see it
invested.
firsthand. Like what is the
Yeah,
real
and
tea?
and that's the thing. It's like thinking about Big Brother US or other Big Brother Canada seasons, it's like shit can't get misconstrued. In Big Brother Canada 10, when he was saying all them niggas was working together, if we only had digital dailies, we could be like, I mean, we don't really know if they actually are, because they could have just not shown them working together. They could have. We know the fuck they wasn't. You lied. Exactly. Same with BB Can with Big Brother 24. All them this Kyle worried about. Oh my God, they're all gonna. We wouldn't have knew how close Monty, Joseph, and Taylor. We could have been like, oh, maybe they are in a secret alliance. We just don't. We wouldn't even know the truth of what's happening. And same with Big Brother Canada. We really don't know what happened with Big Brother Canada 11. We can't say Hope was right or they were wrong or Kuzi was running or he, because we don't really know.
But you know what?
And I feel like
I think that's like the point. That is true.
That is the point. They want to control the narrative.
The point of the digital data is to control the narrative, to be able to just honestly enjoy it for the entertainment aspect of it. You don't supposed to look too deep into it, bitch. This is what we're gonna give you. Enjoy it.
And you know what I will say? I did enjoy it more than I had enjoyed a lot of these other seasons because of these facts. Because I don't know the truth about what happened with Hope, I can't be as mad with Zach and Ty about it. Because I don't know the truth about Kuzi and Daniel, I can't be as mad at Daniel. I feel like I would have hated Daniel if I knew more information, because why are you coming for the queen? And I didn't, because it didn't matter. Or I feel like I would be mad at Zach for arguing and the way he was acting and the way Ty was acting. I didn't get, me personally, I didn't get as emotionally invested in stuff like that as I would have. I feel like if they were on the feeds acting crazy and talking to people crazy the way they were. And I will say that part was
firsthand, like it's way different. And like when you're analyzing things, like when we're analyzing things on Twitter and online, like it is like it's not directly affecting these house guests. It's not even directly affecting like alumni watching. Like the whole like I just feel like stratosphere of like past BB players. I mean, it quite literally what it is, a parasocial relationship. Like we can comment, we can have our opinions, but they're still gonna do whatever the fuck they want to do. And so I feel like that is the main thing. It's like the over analyzing of like certain small moments they just wanted to cut out. Because I'm pretty sure Zach probably was saying some pretty interesting things on feeds and things like that that would have really been like clocked down on Twitter, and he would have been just full out canceled and things like that. And maybe just they don't want that look for the show. It's like he's just going to be the good TV villain, but we don't need him to be this moral villain that everyone hates. And I will say a lot of people still were dragging him and Ty in those ways, even without that extra evidence. So imagine if they had it. So I guess they just don't want to be associated with that negative side of it. But
this is the issue. I think, because you're right. I think that was their goal. And I think one major person they want to protect is the winner. You don't want to have a winner who the world feels like is a bad person. But this is the issue. Ty won and bitches were mad. And they do feel like he's a bad person. And they do feel like he's a terrible person. So if your goal was your sponsors, you want them to still like the characters and you want the fans to love the person who wins. You don't want your show to look bad. Y'all failed. Because everyone hated Ty. Majority of people did not like Ty who watched the season. So it's like, if that was your goal, you didn't really succeed with the goal, I feel like, at the end of the day. Right. And me trying to convince y'all to have the live feeds, go ahead and just put the live feeds on there because you get winners. Your sponsors are probably still mad at you. Like if I was a sponsor and you said, okay, I promise we won't have nobody representing this show who people just hate. And then Ty won, I would be like, you lied to me. Give me my sponsorship. So obviously they probably done lost some sponsors. Like y'all might as well just go back to live feeds because y'all it didn't work. The worst person to win, the only person this season, Zach and Ty, the only two people this season I feel like got this outward hatred regardless of the feeds not being there, and Ty won. So it's like now y'all did all of this, y'all took away the dailies to help y'all sponsors, and the nigga who was most hated still by Canada. So hey, give it up, delicious. But let's talk about the winner, because Ty did win, and a lot of people hated him. Me personally, I don't hate Ty. A lot of the stuff he said and the way he spoke to people, specifically Claudia, was crazy. And we addressed that throughout the season, but especially now that it's been time and it's been a year since that happened, and we know that him and Claudia were together even after the show a little bit, it's like, for me personally, he's friends with everybody in the cast. We see it all the time on his social media. Him and Claudia were good. So honestly, for me, I don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. And
that's why I said earlier, like the parasocial relationship is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Parasocial. Like we don't know these people. We can say how much we want to say. That's why like people. That's why like when I comment on the season, I'm doing this podcast. I'm giving my opinions. It kind of stays here because I'm not about to carry this outside of the season when they don't give a damn. We see this every single season. People who are fans of these players, they are disappointed because they're taking pictures with this person, they're posted up with this person, they're doing this over here. I don't expect, quite literally, I don't expect anything out of these people. They're regular people that were picked to go in the house for like 3 damn months. And that's it is what it is at the end of the day. A lot of these people were dragging Ty and dragging Zach in the house. I will say, I don't know about with Zach, but dragging Ty in the house, they are now cool with Ty, like you said. And like I also feel like even while watching it, with Ty specifically, I don't know about Zach. I don't really care about it anyway. But with Ty, I just feel like it definitely did not give. Like we've seen some pretty nasty people play this game, like both the Kyles, all 3 Kyles, because
all 3 Kyles.
Like I just feel like we've seen people be racist, we've seen people be prejudiced, we've seen people be just overtly misogynistic and things like that. And I feel like Ty, for the most part, was just rude.
Yeah.
And I don't want to dumb it down to that, but I also feel like no one has come out and said that it was anything extreme or more than that, or that he said anything to that nature. I do feel like a lot of people on social media kind of just latched on to Ty being the bad guy. Like you need someone who he was the TV villain and he won the season. I feel like him as a winner, like he accurately represents the season, in my opinion. Like through the things that took place that season, how the eviction order went, like it makes sense that he won. And by the end, in that final 3, he was the most deserving, quotations. Like I think deserving as you can be. I wouldn't have been upset if Daniel won. I feel like Daniel definitely could have won if he was able to win the competition. But I mean, we discussed it. Like he was not able to get those comps. So you have someone like Ty who really was just beasting out in the end. Like who else was it going to go to?
Yeah, and the thing with Ty's perception, and I feel like the way people felt about him, it was like very specific to his relationship with Claudia specifically, and the way he spoke to Claudia, and I think that was triggering for a lot of people because
which is understandable,
and it is triggering. Even to me, it was triggering because the issue is it's kind of domestic. Like you're literally this girl's boyfriend, and the way you're speaking to her is like, oh my god, like and I think that was a lot of people's main issue was you're in this relationship with her and you're acting this way with her. You're degrading her and speaking to her, belittling her when you're speaking to her a lot of the time. And that was the main issue. And I think because it was a relationship and because they were dating, it's a very different beast. It's like a very big different beast. But like I said, afterwards they were good. And also I feel like when you put Ty in the grand scheme of the entire cast, he was rude to a lot of people in the cast. And I feel like when it comes to the overall, it was mostly just rude, like you said. Like I feel like it wasn't mostly misogynistic or homophobic or he didn't say any from what I recall, he didn't say anything that was like prejudice, really. He wasn't prejudiced. He wasn't he could have been seen as misogynistic, but I don't think he was because he was pressing Hope the same way he was pressing Santina. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I felt like he was just rude to everybody and sometimes disrespectful to everybody. Everybody could have caught those hands with him. Which is very like distasteful. But when it comes to, like you said, there's so many people who go in this game and are literally prejudiced or hateful or spewing hate. And I don't think Ty did any of those things, honestly. So there's that on that. But boom, we can talk about the actual season. We can get into some of the big moments throughout the season. And the beginning of the game, because when we started off the game, we got kind of a yay because Santina, the Il Nana, won the first HOH. And it was kind of like
real good because remember it was the duo with John Michael because the
John
first comp was to be in those duos.
Yeah,
and she got in the duo with John Michael, and they both won. And John Michael was like, "Okay, I'll let you have it. Like you got this, sister."
And it was giving mother. It was immediately. It was giving. This is my mama. We don't get. I remember us talking about it. We don't get a lot of women first HOHs, even in Canada. So she won the first HOH. She was a woman, and we was like, "Oh my god, this is my mama."
I just had a thought.
And then she wasn't. What?
A lot of like, I'm trying to think of like the women who have won first HOHs.
Oh Lord, don't think.
Usually they don't necessarily be that good at the game like that. Cause I'm thinking, I just thought about Riley, And I also thought no shade, Rachel Riley.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like,
Lisa 8, Lisa 1.
Lisa 8, Lisa 1. And Nicole also won.
Nicole also won.
Okay, let me take that back.
We got some, but a lot of the ones who do, I think it's kind of probably it's kind of hit or miss, I feel. And I feel like it's hit or miss with the first HOH in general, because thinking about it, Frenchie, big ass miss. Hayden, he won the game. You know, whoever. I feel like there's a lot of male first HOHs who end up winning or doing good, but there's also some who just sit there and flop, like Daniel Dresden, whatever that nigga name is. And then same thing with Frenchie, a flop. So there you go. But Santina won. We thought she was mother. And then very quickly, she was daughter. She wasn't even daughter. Very quickly, she was merging.
It was real bad. And I feel like we definitely clocked as soon as we saw like the cast, like there's gonna be an obvious guys and lions. Like if you've seen this cast, like it's a lot of dudes who are in personal fitness training, like Hope, Ty, and Rob all did personal fitness. And then like we know Zach's personality, Jonathan's personality, like it just gave a lot of guys who would mesh really, really well with each other, leaving John Michael and Daniel kind of on the outs of that. Like I feel like they were like the only dudes who really weren't able to kind of like get ingratiated with that. Dan a little bit too, but even then he was brought in as like a son. Yeah. So I'm just like that was really just unfortunate. I don't get that casting decision at all, really.
I remember us talking about the cast feeling like it was more of a BBUS cast where they just cast a bunch of alpha men and a bunch of pretty girls, hoping for a bunch of showmances. And it seemed very performative of a cast. It really did. Like
it's so hilarious. It's
on
like,
the outside.
I feel like they tried that and you only get one showmance.
Yeah. And I think it's because we're in Canada. I don't think you're gonna get a lot of people who are going to do Big Brother Canada who aren't either really big fans or just going to play the game hard. And Big Brother US, you could get a bunch of flops, honestly, who just going to be there to get in a relationship, and that's it. But it didn't work, thankfully. Whew. But they tried it. Shania was working. She was going for Rob. But anyways, so they started off, and the boys ended up linking together, and Ty and Zach specifically kind of went to Santina, brought her in, allegedly, and ran her HOH. They ran the entire thing, made her get out the person she won the HOH with, John Michael. And they kind of took control of the game in the sense that they were the only thing formed at this point.
Right.
Like the solid kind of
here was the guys group, and at this point it was Ty, Zach, Rob, Jonathan as like a type 4.
Yeah.
And Hope was kind of there as this add-on, and then they were also just trying to start making their relationship. Like the Girly Pops was a pretty early relationship, the trio, and they were attached to that big guys group. And then you have the Shady Bunch over here, the Kuzi, Anika, Daniel, and they're kind of attached through Ty. So like they all are kind of it's basically like the parachute strategy. Like we're gonna have this group, and we're all gonna have our little parachute. Like I think that's what they were attempting to do. But then that didn't last that long, which thankfully so. Good God. Because, like, if they stuck together.
That was scary. I remember us being like,
the Brigade 2.0. This would have been the Pretty Boys.
You mean the Pretty Boy. Yeah, the Pretty Boys 2.0. But the
Brigade is the original.
Oh, you're right. I think it would have been 3.0 then.
Right.
Yeah. I think, like, a part of it is kind of like, now that we're in, like, we get the retrospective of it all, they wasn't eating it up like that. Like they wasn't really eating it up like that. I feel like other than running Santina's HOH, when it came to like the energy of the house, even week 1, everyone was talking about Zach already.
Right.
So it was very much
like,
so. Y'all are
being pretty lazy with it. Like it was like, oh, Will. Like honestly, and I remember week 1 being really impressed by Ty. Because out of all the guys, I feel like he was actually doing the best. Like you could tell he had a real connection with Kuzi, and like the connection that he was forming with Daniel and Nico, it just felt a little bit more solid. Like they kind of felt like genuinely kind of like connected through him rather than just being outsiders. Where I feel like everyone else was kind of like, oh, okay, we're gonna come up with something. Or like Jonathan was just liked. So like they'd be like, "Oh, Jonathan, let's start this group," and he'd be like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely trying to start something," and it wouldn't go anywhere past that. Yeah. So I feel like I thought Ty was making pretty good, solid, like real connections while everyone else kind of like all over the place.
He was even close with Renee very early on, and I remember thinking, because early on I was thinking, okay, all these guys are probably gonna try to get a girl or something, and they were actually kind of trying to do the little parachute thing. So I was like, oh, him and Renee are gonna link up, and then that didn't end up happening. But early on, he had so many like one-to-one relationships, and I feel like someone else in this group who was doing kind of good with that was Rob, because Rob started forming a connection with Shania. He also, just the girly pops in general, really started liking Rob, and he started hanging out with them in general a lot more. And Rob started forming a few connections with Anika Daniel, because a lot of the time there was like a room in Big Brother Canada. There's like room alliances, and in Anika and Daniel in them room, I remember a lot of the time Rob would be in there with them, and I eventually what happened is Ty started, I feel like, noticing you're getting close with the girly pops. You're doing a lot over here.
He knew what his competition was. Like, I feel like unconsciously he realized like, that's the game that I'm wanting to play. I'm wanting to form these secret groups with people outside of the core group to make sure I'm safe. And he felt like Rob was doing that, and I feel like potentially taking stronger relationship, like specifically through Claudia, because this is when he was like talking to Claudia, and what like Claudia and Rob did something, and he was like, "Oh, so now you're trying to get Claudia? Like, why are you trying to go after my?"
I remember something about a sweater, but I don't remember if it was Claudia with the sweater or Shanae with the sweater. But I remember the sweater was one. He let someone wear his sweater, and when they were walking around with
Claudia, and he was like, "Why are you trying to go after Claudia? Like, stick with Shania." Like,
and so he started getting. And so Ty specifically started feeling like Rob probably needs to go. And what happened was Rob ended up feeling that energy about Zach that everyone else in the house were already feeling. He had started talking to a lot of people outside of the alliance, and they were feeling icky about Zach too. And he confided in Ty and Jonathan, who were also in this alliance, and he thought he was cool with, and told them, Zach is somebody who we might need to have to get rid of soon. So when he started spreading that, Ty took that information to use it against him, and he gave it to Zach and said, look, we need to get this nigga out. So Ty and Zach, then their next plan was to take out Rob, and luckily Dan, who they could run, won the next HOH, and they ended up running 2 HOHs in a row. Ran Santina's, took out John Michael, and then they ran Dan and ended up taking out Rob. But the energy it took to take out Rob really not only directly dismantled them by taking out somebody in your alliance, but it also like indirectly dismantled them because of all of the work they were putting in when everyone else was trying to band together to low-key save them. Some of the girly pops wanted to save them. Daniel and Kuzi and Anika, who were the Shady Bunch at this time, wanted to save him too. And they were all kind of trying to form together to try to figure out how can we save him low-key. It just didn't end up working out. And all of that, I feel like momentum really turned the house against specifically Ty and Zach, because Jonathan, who was a part of this alliance, he never wanted Rob out. He never wanted Rob out. So he was like, they gotta go. And he started pushing that agenda.
It was literally this week, like Rob being nominated, he was like, he started to push if I stay, I'm going after Zach. Was it Zach and Ty, or was it just Zach?
It was Zach and Ty. It was them. Like, it was like everybody kind of started saying them. They're doing the most. And it was mostly because Ty refused to kind of get away from that.
Because I remember it was a period of time where it's like they still trusted Ty enough to tell Ty, hey, this is what Zach is doing.
And it was around this time.
The fact that like after it was like, if he goes, we can still work together. But like you said, Ty was just refusing to let go of Zach, which honestly was not smart. Well, he won. So, ciao.
I was gonna say in hindsight, maybe the Rob move wasn't it was still bad, because now everybody wants you out. At this point, now everyone is targeting you.
He won by taking the path of most resistance, for sure.
Exactly. It's like you still succeeded, but like you said, it was the path of most resistance. You did a lot, and that's the issue. So after this week leads, they take out Rob, and now the house is really turned against Zach and Ty. And this leads to this next week with Kuzi as HOH. And at this point, we see Kuzi want to try to like reshape the game. And a part of this was her plan to take out Zach. So her whole plan from the beginning of the week was to make sure Zach was the one who went home. And this was a very big move because Zach had control of the last two HOHs. And Zach and Ty were kind of loosely connected to everyone, but everyone, including Kuzi and Daniel and Anika, the Shady Bunch. And this caused a lot of turmoil with Zach and Ty's energy. They were already kind of against the house. A part of them felt like they could run Kuzi's HOH and control her as well.
I remember they had a conversation like after her winning, and they were like literally deciding who she's gonna put up. Like they're going through everyone in the game, and they're like, "Oh, well, we can use Dan."
Real.
She's not gonna put up Anika. And like they fell on. Oh, she has to go after Renee.
Yeah.
And it's like, they tried to push that you need to target Renee, and it's like, why would she target Renee here?
Literally,
it didn't make any sense.
She didn't, and she wouldn't. Period.
Now this is the iffy week though, because I feel like it was definitely a big discussion on Twitter. Like, should she be targeting Zach? And I feel like even like her allies, like Daniel and Anika, were not sure because they just felt like, I mean, Zach is an overall target for the house. Like, Zach is not going to win this game. He probably isn't going to go too much far. So, like, why should you do the dirty work and get out Zach when Zach would, at this point, was considering Kuzi and, like, you know, one of his, like, inner circle. Like, not necessarily, like, 100% trusting, but he wasn't anyone that she wasn't anyone that he was going to go after anytime soon. Like, they were more so going after the girly hops. So, I just feel like, I don't know, like specifically for Kuzi's game, because I think herself, like she really, like the game she played was definitely balls to the wall. Like she came in there, she was King Kuzi. Like she really was running that game to the fullest. And I feel like there are a lot of times she just did very open moves. And maybe I just wish she would have been a little bit more low key because that kind of just led to her having this huge target towards the end game. Like once you're kind of putting yourself out there and leading with so much force, like it becomes obvious at some point, like how Zach was. Because Kuzi is smart, it took way longer for her to get caught up. But it's like when you're in the forefront for so long, it's so obvious that you're the one everyone's going to want to target. So I just feel like, I don't know, like a move like this maybe shouldn't have been done by her because, you know, it could allow her to kind of remain, honestly, in Zach's shadow. Like Zach would have been, you know, causing all of this ruckus and she kind of hid behind that. So I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's just, I think a part of what I was saying at the time was like, you just need to make sure you're doing other stuff to secure yourself. And she did. She formed an alliance with the Girly Pops to try to help her. And I think it did help in a way.
They almost kept Zach this week if he stayed.
And that's what I was going to get to is that sure she could have not targeted Zach, but like you said, the Girly Pops started forming a relationship with Zach. It was the reason they started wanting to keep him was because they were forming this bond with Ty through Claudia, and Zach was getting a good bond with them. And I felt like that was my biggest issue was the Dan, because you remember the new thing that I was worried about was Dan, Zach, and Ty linking up with Shania, who was talking to Dan at the time, Claudia, who was talking to Ty at the time, and Renee, who was a girl.
You take out Dan.
So that was the problem. So you should have took out Dan, but even I still feel like Zach and Ty, because I remember we were like kind of debating about it. We were like, I felt like Zach and Ty still could have ended up linking up with the Girly Pops through Claudia, but it was also the vice versa of probably not because they just seemed closer to the other people. But it's just so I feel like in a way it's like, dang, Zach. This is the issue. Zach is a wild card. Yeah. It was never that Kuzi was with Zach. It was that Kuzi's kind of cool. He never, and that was the issue with him and Kuzi. He never invited Kuzi into an official alliance. Never. He just assumed he had. Same with Ty. Like neither of them did it, and I feel like that's the issue with or her maybe needing to save him because it's like they never include me in anything. Y'all include Santina, and she mentioned this. She said y'all included Santina. Y'all started telling Santina stuff. Y'all told Dan stuff. Y'all don't tell me anything. So why should I save Zach? And I think that was the really big issue because it was confusing. It was a confusing structure because I do think she was safe with them, but they never really were, I guess, smart enough to tell her that. They kind of just didn't tell her. And I think it's because they're just like, oh, that's just Kuzi. Like, she'll be all right over there. Kuzi, Daniel, and Anika will be all right over there. We don't need to tell them shit. And that's your problem. You can't just disregard people and because you get your ass sent home. Period. So Kuzi's plan, initially she nominated Vanessa. Vanessa was going to be her pawn, but Vanessa ends up quitting this week. one of two quits this week, child, because then she needs a pawn. She approaches Hope. Hope agrees. Okay, I'm down, and this is when Hope kind of starts shifting his time away from Zach and Ty, and he agrees to be a pawn in order for Zach to be backdoored and goes home. This is when we got to talk about the outside team.
Yeah.
Because Hope has received a letter from his girlfriend in his backpack. It's a cute little note paper saying something like, I love you, babe.
I love you. I guess, yeah, it's like,
girl, it's literally nothing. But his dumbass done told people about it. He told Zach and he told Ty about it. So they were aware of this. So at this moment, they're feeling like they kind of have this on him. They have this on him. He's indebted to us. He's loyal to us. So when he is nominated, they approach him about him setting them up to win the veto, Ty or Zach, throwing the veto to one of them to ensure that Zach doesn't get fucked up, Zach doesn't get backdoored. Ty kind of knows Kuzi's thinking of putting him up. So they're trying to make sure, Hope, you're on lock, we're good, because they have this T on him. Hope wins the veto. He ends up using it on himself, and they are pissed.
Yeah. They fully expected him to literally not use veto at all. They thought that they had, and that was kind of just like the big issue with Zach and Ty. It was like honestly just arrogance in the gameplay. I think they thought that they had this control, and things have been going right for them so much for the last 2 weeks that it would just continue to go right for them. They just did not have the social finesse to make anyone comfortable with a move like that. Like no one was going to do that. This is Big Brother Can 11. Like there has been so many versions, iterations of this game. Like why would he not use the veto here? And they just believed that, he was going to do that because, of course, he wouldn't risk this information getting put out.
Yeah. So I want to ask about like their reaction, because what ends up happening is they start talking about the fact that he has this letter, and it gets out to the diary room. The diary room calls Zach in. He explains what happens, and then they call Hope in, and they end up telling the entire house. Hope had a letter from his girlfriend. He's going to get a punishment, which is he can't vote and he can't play in the next HOH. And we saw Zach and Ty were mad at the punishment. They didn't feel like that was enough. They felt like he needed to leave. So in hindsight, it's been a year. And when we're talking about the fairness of the game, what do you think about their response? Do you think they're justified to being mad that he had this advantage?
No, because it was not really an advantage. And I think they try to justify it by saying like,
it's in the rules. That's what they kept saying. It's in the rules.
It's in the rules. And also the fact that they felt like the only reason why they threw the HOH this week to the veto this week to Hope was because he told them about the letter. He was saying he's missing home and he just needs this win. So they felt like
he used it for strategy. They felt.
Yeah, they used it for strategy. And I just feel like I don't know. Like of course, yeah, it is an unfair situation. But at the end of the day, like you're not directly going home because of this. And in fact, you could have stayed this week based on your own gaming that he was doing in the house. So I just feel like it's a tricky situation because like it like he kind of was using something. I feel like a little bit for strategy in that moment. But at the end of the day, to say he should be removed from the game, like I don't think that would have been a fair punishment for that. It's not like it's a letter that got in, this week, like an air vent or something that's showing him information. Like he could have easily been like, oh, this is my girlfriend's jacket, and every time I smell it, I think of her, and it just makes me feel like you have to let me win this so I can, like he could have used anything. Like he did weaponize something that was outside of the game, but it just wasn't as direct. Like I feel like if he received a recent letter that gave him recent information and he used that information to make them do this, that would be a little bit more like, okay, no. Maybe he should go, but it's not like he used any concrete thing. Like you didn't have to throw it because he showed you that letter. You know what I mean? And I also don't fully believe that they did, but hey, they say they did. I mean, hey, you did, they threw it, whatever. But it's just like, I mean, at the end of the day, like he was not going to be removed for that. I don't think he should have been removed for that. I think he got an appropriate punishment.
I mentioned all of that in my video with Zach, and he kind of just, kind of had a response for everything. And he said, I was like, I mean, he could have just used the ring instead of the paper, and he could have used the same thing. He was like, well, no, it was because it was specifically the paper. And it's like, that doesn't necessarily make sense, I feel, but you can watch that video if you want to know more of Zach's perspective. But this ended up causing Zach to quit the game. He felt like it was unfair. He felt like he got played. I didn't agree. If you want to listen to his reasoning, go watch the video with me and Zach. But I just feel like, honestly, I just personally feel like Zach was losing, and he knew he was losing, and he wanted to quit. That was all. He was like, "Damn, I lost. I got fucked." And I feel like he used it. I feel like he used it as a excuse. That's kind of what arrogant people do, or like people who are full of themselves. They kind of find things to make sure they're not the ones at fault. And I feel like this was a way to give Zach his power back. I think he wanted to make sure he had control and power in every single thing that happened, including his eviction. And he decided to leave.
Because forever he can say, I was not evicted. They cheated. I went home unfairly. It was not a fair situation. Put me back in there and it'll be something different.
And if it's fair, then I can actually win this game. And it was just unfair. But
any conversation he had, hey, aren't you Zach that quit? Because no, I didn't quit. I left because it was an unfair situation. See,
because they're cheaters. The producers.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I feel like that's how that went. But hey, that's how that went, and that was the end of Zach. But that was also
because I remember it was like Ty, we're leaving. Ty and Zach, we're leaving. We're going. We're done with this. And it's like, girl, they were literally in the diary room, both of them. Ty and Zach contemplating, are we really about to do this? Zach was dead set, but Ty.
And if Ty would have left that day, he'd be out of 100,000. How much is it?
100,000 and some grills, like
and some grills in a car or whatever.
Like,
or the home.
Like,
the home
that really like goes to show, like, he really, like, you don't give up. You never know what can happen, especially with the competitions wins that Ty started to do. Like, if the Girly Pops did so happen save Zach, they really would have just ran this shit. Like, it would have been crazy. So I just feel like you just don't give up in a situation like that, and that's what he did. He gave up.
Yep. And at this moment, it really left Ty.
Because also I remember too. I'm sorry, but like I remember he literally told Claudia, like, tell me if you're keeping me or I'm quitting. And she was like, I can't tell you that yet. So he quit.
Yeah.
It's like, no, like, you definitely just gave up because you thought you were going home anyway.
Yeah, you knew you were getting evicted, and you
tried to bring Ty down with you. Thank God Ty did not take the bait. And he stayed.
But this because Ty was all the way in the diary room with him, damn near finna quit. Zach actually quit, and Ty came back in the house. And at this point, Ty was in a way alone. Everyone was kind of against the Ty and Zach, and now just Ty because Zach is gone. There were a lot of arguments this week. Kuzi had an argument going off on Zach. Kuzi had an argument with Ty, and it really severed the connection with the house because Kuzi was the house. And Ty, like, now Ty doesn't really have an end other than really just Claudia at this point. And that's how his game has shifted from him and Zach running the first two HOHs, him kind of being good through Kuzi's HOH, and now it done flipped throughout this entire week, and now he's at the bottom of the house. No one really is working with him at this point, and a lot of people are planning on targeting him coming up, because even Santina had realized she got played. She woke up, she knew she had got played by them. So at this point, she's after them too. So he specifically had no one. Zach went home, you took out Rob, Jonathan, you made he kind of like made everyone turn against him. With taking out Rob, now Jonathan and the boys all are against you. Zach went home
and then mainly going down with Zach's ship. Like, like, so he was way too low to Zach at the end.
At this point, he really went down with the shift, and we led into the Invisible HOH week. Now, the HOH twist, I love. I really do.
It's like the Invisible week. The full week was
the Invisible week. The entire. I don't love the week. I love the HOH specifically. I will say. I specifically love the Invisible week though. It's just no.
I think it's kind of camp.
I don't love it. I just feel like I kind of just feel like the veto winner gets like so much information. I just feel like it's weird. It's just kind of weird
that to be able to do it. I feel like the move that Daniel wanted to do this week, because he won the secret veto, he uses on Ty this week, which is like, it's just like Ty really just like the fact that he was so close to quitting, he didn't, and then this week he was literally nominated, could have went home, got saved. it's like it's not it's not luck because he decided not to quit, but it's just like I don't know. It's just like I don't know what the word.
There's definitely a little bit of luck. I feel like
but I don't know what the word I'm trying to say for it is. Like it's just interesting that these moments kind of like happened for him, and he went on
very situational or
he was on the brink
coincidental
of going home or just leaving the game like so many times, and then he ends up winning.
Yeah, or getting saved. Not even just winning every time. He got saved here.
It's like they didn't think saving him here was going to, catapult him to the win, and it's like no one thought that. Literally, like I just going back to my thought process at that time. It's like we were literally giving ratings, like giving him a 1. Like we were saying,
like you're going home after this week, unless you. But I think we were saying unless you win, you're going home. And then what he do? He did the unless.
Unless, and people don't be doing that though. People do not be doing that.
Yeah, well, it's hard
Jag did it.
to win everything.
That's so funny that Jag and Ty is so similar. Like that is so crazy, and it's like they happen back to back.
Literally back to back. Very interesting. I feel like we used to compare Taylor and Kevin's wins in the sense that they didn't win a lot of comps. They were both very social. So I think it's
like Ty and Xavier, both the black winners, first black male winners.
Yeah.
And then you got Ty and Kevin, Taylor and Kevin, both very social. And you got now Jag and Ty, who were comp B step to the point where like if they did not win, they were going home. And that's why I think it's like it definitely like back to Ty being a winner overall, like that really sets him apart. For I feel like some of the other comp beats who have just won, and same to Jag. It's like if you're winning all the way up into the final 2 and you win the game, I feel like I see it as different because if they did not win, their situation is different because if they did not win, they were going to go home. Like it was life or death if they did not win the competition. Jag had a little bit more leeway with some of his allies, but I feel like Ty specifically, like every single week, if he did not win, like he was going to go. So it's like it's different from someone who was just winning HOHs and didn't do anything with them, or winning vetoes and didn't do anything with them. Like he was actively winning competitions to maintain in the game. So and I feel like throughout the game, of course, that's not the best. Like if you're only staying in the game by competition wins, I wouldn't consider you a great player. And that's why even as the overall score, like he's not like a 10 as a winner. But like if you're able to get to the end, I mean, it's a viable strategy. Like I feel like you deserve to win.
It's just more impressive, and I feel like it's more rewardable. I'd rather reward someone who had to work to get to the end and worked rather than someone who was just in an okay position or just doing all right, and then they won the comps and they just didn't do anything with them and moved along.
Like for example,
it's a different energy to it.
If Matt and BB25 had the competition wins as Jag, like let's say Jag didn't win anything. Matt had the great social game. He had been eating it up this entire time, and he had those competition wins. I wouldn't be like, oh my god, he's like I would be like a neg on his game, like, oh, he won so many competitions, like that's easily why he was able to stay in this position. Like it's just not as impressive if you've been in a good position and you've been winning all of these comps. It's like okay,
it's just less impressive. It's more impressive with Ty and Jag, where it's like had they not, they would literally have lost the game. Like it's so, and it's about the stakes. The stakes were high. You needed to win, and you did. You ate that up. And I feel like if the stakes aren't high, or if there are no stakes to you winning and you're just winning, it's just less impressive. I don't care. You weren't going home anyways. Congratulations, you ate that up. So I think that's what it is. But Invisible HOH Week, I love the idea. I love the concept. Santina ends up telling Jonathan and Hope, and this is the beginning of kind of the new dynamics in the season because the crown is now formed with Jonathan, Hope, Kuzi, Daniel, and Anika. And this group was set up or trying to set themselves up to walk to the end of the game. And then on the other side, you had Claudia, Shanae, and Renee, the girly pops. And then you kind of had Santina as a loner and Ty as a loner. And Santina this week was ready. Oh, and Dan. And Santina this week was ready to take out Ty or Dan. So it's like, we was really doing good. Like we were really doing good.
This era of the season, it was eating.
This 1 week.
Crown.
Goddamn.
And I was scared with Santina as a secret HOH because I was like, child, this is getting nasty, especially with Kuzi because Kuzi had, put her up. But Santina, she saw the light and she knew exactly what she needed to do. I was like, and this is when she became back a mother. She went from mother to daughter to back to mother. Real quick.
Period. So, boom. Santina uses this week. She tries to take out Ty, but Daniel uses the veto. Big mistake. God damn it. Big mistake. And Dan ends up going home this week. And this week leads into next week because Daniel had just saved Ty with the veto. And in a way, it was working because the point was, if he wins, he ain't gonna take us down.
Right.
And it's like sort of kind
of shady bunch.
Specifically Daniel, Kuzi, and Anika. It's like sort of like you kind of ate that up, and he wasn't even going to take out Jonathan or Hope. So it really was pretty okay. But it was just the next week, it really fucked them up because he makes this move. Daniel makes this move. Ty wins the next HOH. And so when Ty wins his next HOH, right? He did what?
I said Santina also is gifted safety.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. So Ty wins the next HOH. Santina is safe, so he can't put her up. And instead of just nominating the two girly pops who he isn't dating, which is what he thought about doing, he feels like it's unnecessary. I don't need to. I want to take out Renee. I'm just going to put Renee, and Hope has volunteered to be a pawn. Like, so I can just, instead of putting up Shania, who cares? She's not going to do anything. She's not going to win veto or anything. I'll just put up Renee. We'll take out a girly pop and we'll move along. And in this world, the crown really would have taken over the game and really probably would have steamrolled in a way, or at least attempted in a way. But Shania wins the veto. And she uses it on Renee. And now it leaves really no other option for Ty but to take out one of the crown. And he ends up taking out John.
And this is honestly probably really the big issue. And I will say specifically for I think maybe Kuzi's game, but because if they kind of just collaborate with Ty more, or just I don't know, figured out,
or told Hope not to volunteer. Right. Why are you doing this?
Renee maybe could have went this week, or some kind of a scenario. Yeah, if Shanae and Renee both go up, and Shanae wins veto, she takes herself off. Anyone else can go up, and then Renee can go home. Mm-hmm. But it really fucked it up by him only putting up Renee, and then the safety chain week they save Renee too, and then Renee wins that double and takes out Kuzi. So I'm just there was two options back to back where Renee should have went and she did not, and that kind of helps the steamroll because at that point it's literally 3 girly pop HOHs in a row.
Mm-hmm. This really leads to that whole concept of the crown has now started falling, and a lot of their members are going home. The girly pops are starting to pick up steam, and Ty, competition-wise, is starting to pick up steam.
Yeah.
So put a pin in that because at this moment, Shanae has won her first veto. This is the first girly pop win, period. Yes. She uses it on Renee. Now all the girly pops are safe, and Ty has won his first HOH. He's safe this week when he should have went home probably by any other HOH. So put a pin in those things because all of that is going on.
The shit really started shifting, and you think the crown is this huge group. They have supposedly good competitors. You would think they're about to start winning some shit, and the girly pops really get their lick back. It's so nasty.
And it's they shouldn't have because Kuzi wins the next HOH. So it's okay, here's y'all chance.
Right.
Take one of them out, pick up the game. But during this, and then even to reinforce that, during this week, there was a puzzle put in the library.
Oh, girl, there was some drama on Twitter.
Girl, everywhere. They were the clips of Shanae, they're bullying them and they're crying and they love girl, all the think pieces. So what ends up happening is there was a puzzle to figure out in the library, and everyone except Shania, Renee, and Claudia end up in the library with Hope literally holding the door shut to make sure that they don't get in, even no matter how hard they try. They're knocking on the door. Come on, guys.
I will say, because who went in there first? Who was in there first? Do you remember?
I don't remember if it was Santina or if it was Daniel.
Because I remember that Santina bust her way through. Kuzi.
Ty also busted his way through.
Ty busted his way through. I think Anika and Daniel were in there
Anika
first.
and Daniel. I think Daniel was first specifically.
And then
Daniel Hope and
Ty and Santina were not originally let in. They barged through. Now, Miss Kuzi was let in. Now, see, when you're a mother, look. I remember Kuzi came downstairs with the girly pop. She was like, "What's happening? Where's everybody?" It was like, "They're all in the library. They locked us out." And I remember us being like, "Kuzi asked you to stay outside with the girly pop," and acting confused because Kuzi went to that door. Oh, it's Koozie. I said, Koozie. Oh,
it's Koozie. All right,
and then it's just like.
So they end up locked out, and we end up finding out it was meant for everybody to do the puzzle anyway.
And that's the sickest part. That's because they figure out, oh, we're all supposed to. So Koozie comes out.
All of us. Girls, it's for all of us. That was very sick.
So there was a lot of tension. There was this fresh tension with the girls pop. This fully splits the game, basically.
And it's like you would think so. You would think the result of this week would end up with that. Like Ty and Santina are there with the crown, doing all of this, and the girly pops are not in this scenario. And I feel like stuff like this is when you should probably just. I feel like when you're in the game, you should think more simply. I feel like Koozie, because what we find out is Koozie and the crown decide before they even know the twist of the week that they want Santina to go. And I feel like, and this had already occurred, and they were still talking about that after this occurred. And I feel like you should probably just take a step back and really just think. The fact that this happened, I feel like alone should show you they're over there. You're over here. These people are cool with you over here. They're over there. I feel like they really should have just thought simply about this and be like, you know what? One of them girly pops should go. It's a 3. It's a power of 3. They're all stuck together. They're all linked up. These other two people, Santina and Ty, hate each other. Right. So why would we take out one of them when they're going to take each other out? It's just I feel like nothing pointed to taking out one of them. It really did.
I remember saying this at the time, like, y'all are letting these 3 people get too far. They are a voting block, and if they start winning competition, it's going to get dangerous. I just feel like they definitely did not see them for the threat that they actually were. And Koozie literally admits that, like, that she was not paying attention to them enough as she should have been. And really, I think that Koozie was kind of threatened by Santina because Santina was a strong physical player. Mm-hmm. And that could have been threatening because and she's a wild card. So Santina can win HOH, and then Koozie knows she's a mother. So she's looking at the game board. She's like, I'm running Ty. I'm running the crown. The girl pops too pussy to touch me. The only issue is Santina. So it makes sense, especially because the way Santina was acting in the beginning of the game. But I just remember thinking, because Santina literally was okay with losing to the best player. Her mindset was, I want to go to the end with Ty and Koozie and lose to Koozie. So I just wish that Koozie knew that information. But for Koozie to know that, she would have to be thinking non-optimally. It would have been smart for Santina to be going after Koozie. It makes no sense why Santina would want Koozie in this game. But that wasn't her.
But you got to think about that in all directions because it would be smart for Renee to take out Koozie.
True.
So you got to put a pin in that. And that's where it comes to underestimating. That's where underestimating comes in. That's where underestimating comes in because the issue is she knew. I feel like she knew everybody should take her out. She just didn't even think anything of the girly pops. It's just, and that's the issue. They all would have took your ass. Well, actually, Santina wouldn't have. So you were wrong about that, which is the issue. And 2, even if she would have, so would Claudia, so would Renee, and so would Shanae, and they're all friends. So I feel like at least you could bank on maybe I can convince Santina to take out Ty. I could never convince Claudia to take out Ty. She should have just took out Claudia this week. Claudia should have been the target.
Well, it wasn't her. It was the safety chain.
They voted. They could at least vote it out. But this is the thing. You can set up the chain. If you, Daniel, and Anika talk and say the best thing would be for Claudia to go, you can once you figure out it's the chain at the table. Y'all can know, let me not choose. Because Daniel literally chose Shania. Obviously, Shania's going to choose Claudia. He could have just chose somebody else. I don't know.
But that's why I feel like with it being a safety chain, I feel like it definitely was just more so a lot of it was Santina not being socially set up well. Because, even now that I'm thinking about it, the type of game that Daniel was playing, he wasn't going to pick Santina. He was always going to pick Shania. So it's like...
But you don't have to pick Santina. You could have just picked Renee. He was cool with Renee too. But and Renee would pick Shania. Renee would pick Claudia.
Yeah, but
I don't remember. Claudia was closer to both of them at that point. No, she wasn't. Remember, that was the point where Claudia and Renee were beefing, and Shania was the one who was like, "We can't be going after Renee. You're being weird." Randomly, they were going after.
Renee was never.
But Renee didn't know that. Claudia knew that, and Shanae knew that.
But the point I was trying to make is that it was a lot. With it being a safety chain, it is more about the individual connection. So because she isn't directly nominating Santina and Renee, it's different. It's like because we have to choose each other. So I feel like Santina not getting chosen is on her. Now, her going home next to Renee, I don't understand why they didn't.
Because they talked about the eviction vote. And you know what? Santina did really, really good campaigning. She went to who she needed. She literally went to the Crown. And she went to the Crown and she kind of pulled them aside and she was like, y'all, I mean, I'm not going to be against y'all. I'm not against y'all at all. I'm kind of with y'all. I feel like Ty's my main target. She did a lot of pleading very quickly during that time. And I feel like everything she said made sense. And I feel like it was kind of just obvious to me that she was on that type of time. But I feel like they just wasn't feeling it. And the Crown ended up deciding to just vote to evict Santina. But it's like Renee is right there on the block. And she is right. And it's like you didn't even do it. It wouldn't even be your fault. I don't think the girly pops will be mad at y'all. Like she's nommed. I mean, hey, y'all are there 3 that she's nommed. Who really cares? We had to do it. So I feel like that was the mistake. That was the mistake.
It was a huge mistake because at the end of the day, Santina was on their side. She was so against the girly pops and Ty, and I don't think that was really going to change. Maybe with Ty, but even then, it's like specifically that Koozie girl. She's not a threat to you. Like it is fine, especially because the girly pops really start beasting out after this week. I mean, they went 3 HOHs back to back in a row. Santina could have won this next one instead of Claudia. You never really know.
Exactly. So that's exactly what happens. Ty wasn't chosen either, and there was a competition, and Ty won that competition here. So he had just won HOH. Then he wins the safety competition here, and then this leads into the next 3 weeks, literally, where the girly pops are now beasting out. They done saved them, y'all. They done let them slide through. And now that they've slid through, they started winning everything.
Because no one else from the crowd can win other than fucking Koozie. That really upset me. Like, Koozie was with a bunch of flops that couldn't win shit.
At all. So Claudia wins this next HOH. Ty wins this veto. Even though Ty was the target at this point, she actually nominated him. Right. He won the veto. So Ty can't go home and Claudia's still beasting. After that, Renee wins HOH. It's like, damn, another girly pop. So they spied on their ass back to back. And Ty spied on them vetoes back to back because Ty won veto here as well after being nominated. Ty got nominated twice. He won veto twice. Claudia and Renee won back-to-back HOHs. And the crown is just getting taken out. Bang.
Right. All of these evictions have been the Crown and Santina, who was basically an honorary Crown.
Jonathan went home, then Santina, and then now Hope and Koozie are gone because Claudia and Renee have won this HOH and Ty has won these vetoes. It's really like y'all, and it's honestly like looking back, Daniel let Ty slide through with the veto choice, and Koozie, and they all did not vote to evict Renee and let them slide through there. So it's like, it's 2 times. And like you said, if they helped convince Ty not to vote Hope, or if Hope didn't volunteer, it's like, the Crown really didn't. They needed to, but I won't say about the Ty thing because the Ty just came out of nowhere. He just started winning everything. You could never really know that. But the girly pops, it's like the fact that it's 3 of them. That's 33% or whatever. That's half the damn game by the time we got here. It's top 6, and they're 3 of them. What are y'all gonna do? There's just so many. So I feel like they really should have thought of that. But
like they did not clock the issue until it was way too late. And I can definitely see how. You know, you're just not there's a lot of shit going on, like with Ty and Santina. Like, I just a lot of things getting in the way because the girly pops this entire time.
I feel like it's such a big obvious thing, though. They right there. Damn, that's what was, and I feel like that's what was upsetting me and my homegirl because we feel like, well, damn, if it's three girls right here in your face who are never not aligned, why are they not going home? I feel like that was so frustrating.
It never didn't make no sense. We kept saying it.
It was so frustrating to watch. But we get to Renee's HOH, and this week is the week that Koozie ends up going home. Koozie had tried to make a bond with Renee this week, and she kind of went off and basically tried to save herself. She tried to make a deal real quick, and this caused a lot of turmoil that was already building up with Daniel and Anika and her. They had been together this whole game. And then a lot of comments about kind of the way Koozie was operating, Daniel and Anika had talked about. And now at this point, they feel like she's throwing us under the bus. Mind you, who else she gonna nominate? Like, the issue at this point, the reason that was annoying is because it's top 7. It's y'all 3, them 3, and Ty, who is going to win the veto. We will find out. So who was she gonna know?
Like,
So
what else did you expect her to do? And
what else
also,
did you?
like, I don't understand why. And because this week the original nominees are Ty and Anika. So Anika and Daniel are even feeling more like this girl definitely went up there and threw me under the bus. Like, why couldn't it just be that she went up there and said something to make her be safe? Like, at the end of the day, all of y'all should be speaking to the current HOH to make sure you're safe. Why would you not do that? So it's like, especially specifically Anika, it just became all these like kind of like personal attacks about Kuzi and how she's fake and all this other stuff. And it's like sorry that she wants to get to the end and win the game. Like she's actually playing Anika. I know that's a foreign concept.
So
flashbacks of my anger. Because it was just so stupid.
It was weird.
So stupid.
It was very weird, very stupid. But this ended up being Kuzi's last week in the game. She ended up getting 7th place. And I feel like when we at this point, it was kind of weird because Kuzi had a hold on this game. Since really her HOH, when she took out Zach, she was the reason that the alliance with the Girly Pops had formed. And then that blossomed into a Final Four with Daniel and Anika and Shanae and Claudia, leaving out Renee and Kuzi. And it's like that all started because Kuzi had created this relationship with him. They had been a 6, and then the crown formed via her relationships. I feel with Hope, she was the one who really had the biggest relationship with Hope.
Sure, yeah.
And then the crown formed, and then when the crown started dismantling, it's like it led to Kuzi kind of dismantling because Daniel, Anika, Shanae, and Claudia were trying to form this separate thing, and then it was very obvious, like Kuzi, you're the last mother in the house, and that's another reason Santina shouldn't have went really too, because baby, who else gonna go? If not you, then who?
Because they definitely would have targeted Santina before Kuzi.
Yeah,
100%. Kuzi only went home this week is because
Renee would have went home. Renee wouldn't have even been there. She would have been gone.
Who knows what the HOH would have been?
So it's like, but we had an interview with Kuzi, and she said she basically knows that was her mistake. Like she mentioned, not trusting Santina, not taking Santina, not linking up with her at that point was her biggest mistake. And I feel like Kuzi's influence at that point, she would have been able to easily say, "We're not evicting Santina."
You know what? I'm thinking now that we're here, I'm thinking she should have prioritized the trio with Santina and Ty over Daniel.
Over the trio with Daniel.
I'm thinking like
they're more valuable.
Daniel's game is 100% self-oriented. Like he is going to help himself, which makes sense. Like the game he was playing was never going to be in tandem with Kuzi, which is why I think it came to this boiling point. Like in a sense, they were both kind of fighting for Anika that entire time. You know, but he was just a lot more low key because that was his game. So I'm not shocked that at that point, like, you know, they split from her to secure his own safety. That was Daniel's game this entire time. Mm-hmm. So I just think if Kuzi prioritized the Santina and Ty trio, they could have been beaten out in this end game. And then I mean, she goes to home too, regardless.
It's also that like it's weird to game. It's weird to think about because it's not usually super relevant. But in this particular season, because there was two trios at the end, the competitions was all that matters. It's kind of like BB6. When you're just in a situation where it's just two obvious alliances, all that matters is comps. And she ended up in the end with, frankly, two people who just couldn't win a comp. Daniel and Anika could not win a competition. So it's like, she wouldn't have went home if Daniel won the HOH instead of Renee. I don't think he would have just directly took her out. You got to take out the girly pop. Or if Anika won the HOH, it's like she wouldn't have went home. But it was such a particular situation where both of your allies can't win nothing. And it's a situation where you allowed 3 people who were obviously in alliance and your 3 people. And that was the goal. That's what's funny. When they originally made the 6, they were like, we'll just get to the end and we'll battle it out. And it's like, you battling it out with 3 bad bitches because they're eating y'all up. And that's the issue. Like, for Kuzi, she was cool with battling out because she could hold her own. But you have to think about who are you taking to battle? Who are your warriors? Soldiers. And it's like you had Daniel who couldn't win anything and Anika who couldn't win anything as your soldiers. You should have had Santina right there.
Yeah.
You should have made sure if I'm gonna go to battle, it's gonna be with 4 people. Ty and Claudia was dating, babe. That was a risk. Even if Ty won HOH, that was a risk, low key. But hey, we move.
Yeah.
So this led.
That sucks.
So Mother went home.
I really love watching her play. And
it was amazing, which is why we need to see All-Stars, which is not why we need All-Stars.
But clearly Canada did too, because she was booked and busy on the Traitors Canada.
Period. This is when we get to the double eviction right after, and Claudia wins the HOH again. And we see Ty they have given him his inches have been garnered, and now he can take it to the mile because all he really needed was a little bit of time. I feel after he won that HOH, he won the safety chain veto, he won the veto again, and then he won the veto again. At this point, I think it's like that's 4 weeks. He has enough.
Why would we put him up?
He has enough time to kind of recalibrate what's going on, and he's always had this thing with Claudia where they're in the showmance, and he used it at the best moment possible. And as soon as she won HOH, he convinced her not to put him up. He convinced her not to put him up. And she decided, okay, I won't put him up. I'll put up Anika and Daniel, who are my final 4. I guess she just didn't care no more. She just felt more valuable with he ate her up. She put up Anika and Daniel. He won the veto. She said, don't use it because one of my girls have to go up. He said, and Shania will be going up. And she said, yes, daddy. A part of me gets it. Because what I have said, yes, sir, with I wouldn't have even asked.
And a lot of people, I was one of the only people who at this point was like, I mean, Claudia could still win this game because I'm thinking, okay, I can kind of see her logic. Like at this point, he's won every single veto. He is just going to win again. At least this time, let me not put him up. Like he's my showman. Like maybe I can trust him, but it's just the issue is that would be ignoring all of his actions thus far. And Ty has not actively worked with Claudia at all this entire game. He has not. He's protected her in his own ways with his little power, but he has not collaborated her in any sense of the word. So him doing this, I mean, it was completely savage, one. But also, it was definitely smart on his part. Like, he is now in a position to where he's using his competition win to now dismantle the other 2 groups. Like, he could have just been winning and shut up. He could have been winning. Okay, do what you want. Because he made her take out her closest ally, not Renee, Shania, the one who was
period.
Like Renee and Claudia's relationship is skewed. Like after this, when Shania goes, Claudia stays with Ty. She doesn't even try to socialize with Renee the next week or stick with her in this alliance. Like that whole the Golden Pops is done when Shania is out because she was the bridge keeping them together.
Yep. Because if she would have just nom Ty, then boom, she can just renom Anika and it's fine. That she doesn't have to put up one of her girls. Or if Ty didn't convince her to put up Shania, she just put up Renee. Renee going, it's not as valuable. So it was very much so he put in the work to make sure he was set up better. And then the next week happens. Anika wins HOH, and he does the same thing with them. He convinces Anika and Daniel that he's good not to put him up. When they nom Claudia and Renee, he wins the veto. He uses it, but Renee goes home, so it doesn't matter. But that's the thing. He made sure both times
she wanted Claudia out.
She wanted Claudia out, and he made sure both times he wasn't nominated, and he made sure both times the person he wanted to go went home in that order. And it's like, for you to be the most hated person prior to this double, to being the one who controlled the double and the week after and made sure your targets went home without winning HOH, honestly, he ate it up. These 2 weeks, he really ate up real bad.
And that's why
that's what got him to the end. Really.
Argument with Jag, I just feel like we can sit here and we can be annoyed that he's winning these competitions, and yes, that's helping them stay in the game, but it's also we have to pay attention to what he's doing with those competition wins. Like, this isn't like some top tier social strategic maneuvering, but it's some pretty good finesse. Like a lot of people would not have used this power in this way. He was able to get what he wanted twice in a row by convincing both sides at the house at this point that he is with them. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive.
It is pretty impressive. And I feel like it really does help him because it helped sever the potential for him being in the final 2 where they're just going to take their friend. For example, if Claudia was in the final 3 with Shania and Ty, it's way more likely, I feel, for him to maybe not get taken. And if Daniel and Anika ended up in final 3 with him instead of one of Shania or Claudia, it's way more likely they just take each other instead of taking him. He made it to where it was one person from each side of the house and him in the final 3, to where it's like he has a potential of getting taken. They were both taking him. Like he was good. So, and it's funny because he won all these comps and then doesn't win the final HO. Oh, does he? I don't remember.
Claudia wins.
He did. Why the fuck did she take it? That's why I forgot. Why did you take it? But anyway, he literally doesn't win the final 8 choice, the most important one, after winning all these competitions, but he did put in work those 2 times he could to make sure it ended up the right people at the end, because Shania and Renee would not have taken his ass ever. But Daniel and Claudia would.
Yeah.
And did. So that ended up
he
being the
didn't
final
have to
3.
make it that way. Like, he could have easily allowed Renee to be taken out on Claudia's double eviction.
Or allow Nika to get taken out that week instead, or just anything. But he made sure, and he had been working on Daniel. He had been building a relationship with Daniel, a bond with Daniel. He always had been with Claudia.
It's like, and that's the thing. It's like, these people, they were trying to rope Ty in and basically tame him, use his power. Okay, he's winning veto. I'm going to use that for me. He took their trust, used it for himself, and did not look back. And this has always been the player that Ty has. And I feel like you really have to look at his game from the beginning to the end. He started this game in power. You know, it got ruined mainly because of an ally that he would not let go. But he was able to kind of, I feel like, once Zach, he really reverted back into himself. Like, he wasn't talking too much. He wasn't, like, I feel like, being as abrasive, where I don't know if that was necessarily intentional, but we see that with the greats in this game, where like a Dan or Dr. Will, like, they will get in trouble and then, okay, well, let me shut up for a few weeks. Let me calm down. And I feel like that's kind of, he kind of took that approach.
Oh, he still was kind of arguing, because he argued with Santina when she was secret HOH. And he was like, you put me up. And they were in that hallway in between the outside and the inside.
Oh, he did.
And he knew she put him up, and she was lying and saying she didn't. And they argued.
I was trying to give it to him.
But he did. Well, no. He sort of kinda.
Well, in general, though, when I was saying that, I was talking about the relationship with the girly pops in general, because I feel like they all kind of softened up on him. He always had a good relationship with Kuzi, Anika, and Daniel, and even Hope. Like, he kind of had that bond with him as well. So I'm just saying, like, I just feel like, in general, it wasn't as abrasive as it was when he was in power, which allowed people to feel like that they could eventually use him, and they couldn't. He was not usable. He was always playing for what, and that's one thing consistent with Ty. Sometimes it didn't work because he was so unmovable that nothing was changing his mind. But I feel like that helped him at the end of the day. Like, he was unmovable. Like, whatever he wanted to have happen, he was going to make sure that is what happened at the end of the day.
And I remember at the end, the final 3, there was conversation about whether he had the potential to get the jury votes. And I remember thinking, of course he does. He has genuine relationships with these people in the jury. He genuinely was friends with Santina at a point.
And Santina respects him. Like, even if he doesn't respect him, she respects him over the girly pops for sure.
And I remember that being the conversation. Like, people were like, well, people just don't like him. And I was like, I think they kind of do. Like, him and Hope had a great relationship. Him and Kuzi had a great relationship. Him and Daniel and Anika had great relationships. He did have a relationship with Renee at the beginning of the game and Santina at the beginning of the game. I was very confident that he could get jury votes. I never thought that was going to be an issue for him, honestly. And I don't know. But that's what happened, because he won.
I will say, up until
didn't he get every vote? No, he didn't get Shanae.
And we talked about that. We felt like they were playing a little bit. No shame.
That's the way they were talking. At the final, Shanae and Renee were like looking at each other like, girl, look who she
because does. Basically, after what Claudia did was essentially help them get taken out by choosing Ty over them. Where I feel like with Claudia, I'm not going to judge her too much in the move. It helped her get herself defined too. But it's like, it's about how you do it. It's not what you're doing. It's how you do it and how you explaining it and how it's perceived. It was perceived as, girl, you're getting ran by this man. You cut your 2 closest allies to sit in the end with him. And then you took him to the end and thought you were going to get out.
It's also, in actuality, that's kind of what it was, because she, like, so I feel like that's kind of what it just was, because I remember her speaking about it, and it never gave. She never gave, I cut them. I knew I did. It didn't give that. It gave, I just couldn't. And it's like, oh, so you just got ran. Really? And I think that was the issue. And Shanae and Renee knew. And I think Shanae was like, I'm going to get my girl a vote, but you're losing. I think the jury knew who was going to win. I think they knew he was going to win basically unanimously. Shanae decided to just give her a vote, which is sweet. Love that for her. But that was it. Ty ends up winning the game very, very powerfully. We also get a lot of big votes nowadays, where majority of the votes are going to someone. Taylor, it was 8-1. Ty won unanimously.
Tashawn.
Yeah, Tashawn, that's what I'm talking about. And then Kevin won Unanimously?
I think they all won unanimously but one because that last Jared never votes right. That last Jared never votes right. Tina didn't vote. Not Tina. What's that lady?
Lisa. What is that girl? Tara.
Tara. She was like, I promised Brayden I'm gonna vote him, and then you got freaking no one voted Big D. Xavier won unanimously. Kevin, Betty still voted Josh.
Oh because she wanted to be loyal.
And then we got Jag. You know, he lost Serene, Felicia. So they've been winning by a lot.
No close votes in these recent years. Honestly, very interesting because there was a big run. There was a big run of close votes because we had Kayla and Paris. Was Kayla and Paris close? I'll just make that up. Well, in BBUS we had Casey and Tyler, and then we had Paul and Nicole. We had a lot of close votes in that area. Even Paul and Josh was very close vote too. So in those areas, 18, 19, 20, we had a lot of close votes. Even 21, I think Holly got 3 votes. And it's like nowadays we're just getting
blowouts.
1 to 9, 2 to 8. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So, but yeah, that's how BB Can 11 went, y'all. Very cute season. I think they set the bar a little bit when it came to the actual content of the game for this next season. I'm hoping this next season can give it. Yeah. Because that's what always gives it a little bit. It always gonna give in some type of way.
True. I think Big Brother Canada, they're really good at having dynamic cast. But I was gonna say, like, not every cast will necessarily work well with the digital daily format. Like, they could have just got lucky a little bit. Like,
that's true.
With a great cast with it. Like, we were still loving it. Like, imagine if BB Can 10 had digital dailies for a good portion of that season. It would have been, what the hell are we watching?
Yep.
What's going on?
Very much so.
It would have been weird. It would have been
very much so. Wow, you're right.
Weirder than what we already saw. So I'm just like, it could go either way. I would even argue 9 wouldn't have been as interesting with digital dailies.
Honestly, yeah, I agree. So dang, that's crazy. They really got lucky because this was a lot going on. To put some good energy out there, I'm hoping it's All Stars. If I had to pick the All Stars, it would be Ty and Kuzi. Go ahead, put them back in the house, have them eat it up. A part of me feels like they would only be able to get like 2 from each season because there's so many damn seasons now, right? It's like 10 seasons. So I would think just you really could only get Ty and Kuzi. Like, I don't think they'll have space for anybody else.
Right. And honestly, a good thing about having an early season, early All-Stars, that you can get a representative from each one. So they're probably not really going to be able to. I'm sure they're going to want.
They're definitely going to try to get a representative from each one. And they probably
may even bring someone from BB Can 8.
I definitely think they can. But it's going to be unfortunate because it's like,
they could easily do 18, 20.
They could.
Go watch.
They could. The issue is, I mean, even 18, not that many because it's 11 seasons. 18, I mean, you still can't get 2 from each season. You could only get 1 from half the season. It's like, this is their problem. This is why you don't wait till BB Can 12. Because even if I'm excited for BB All Stars, I'm like, they might get somebody I don't even want there when it could be Ika. But hey, weird. Child. I'm definitely hoping for the best. Going into this next season, we will be dropping a lot of preseason content. So stay tuned. Weekly, we're going to be dropping Big Brother Canada preseason content. When they drop the cast, we'll definitely be doing the cast draft, cast reaction. You got any more thoughts on this season?
No. Yeah, I basically got it all out. I think it was I like the cast. I will say. I think it was a really great cast.
This was a good cast.
They collaborated well together. Like, I think I fairly, like, even down to Zach, like, I fairly enjoyed all of them for what they gave to the season, and I feel like I didn't have that for 10 and 9. There was a few people on 9 and 10 where I'm like,
you could have been off. You could have been left off. I agree. So yeah, stay tuned with us for the Big Brother Canada 12 season. We're going to be covering every week. We're going to be going live BBTs, Big Brother Tuesdays, Big Brother Thursdays. We're going to be going live to talk about Big Brother Canada. So stay tuned for that. And we're also going to be giving y'all a little bit more content this year. Definitely, if they have digital dailies, check out some recaps for that too. So just stay tuned. Also, Survivor is coming, Survivor 46. We will be covering Survivor 46 as well. So check out our coverage for that as well. And thank you for keeping it real with the kingdom. We're out.